Yeah, so here we go again. The day's Thursday. I have not been very productive today. Well, I guess I haven't been productive in the sense I'm meaning to be productive. That is writing. I'm still gonna have to type up what I wrote yesterday. I think I'll do that tonight, maybe. Because odds are I'll just get bored and it'll be too early to go to bed. So might as well write it up, type it up. Temperature outside is 23 degrees centigrade. We've got about half cloud coverage. It's a bit too sunny for my liking. There is a slight breeze going on. It's dry. Humidity is half-ish. Half of total, I guess. Ballpark estimate. Today I did cross the border. Go get 100 litres of diesel. Just over 100 actually. Which means I now ain't got to worry about range for a while. You'd think range anxiety would be a thing with electronic cars, but not with diesel. But for me, I'm worried about the next couple of 100k, which is about half of what you'd get out of an electronic car if you drive it economically in the first place. Then again, the technology will evolve, and they are fun to drive because they do accelerate rather well. Today's drink is the finished iced coffee for €1 a pop. It's too expensive to be reasonable, but I'm only human. I only got up today because the post came. Well, the mailman, it went to post, but still. Finally got my hemp delivered. My Austrian hemp. Admittedly, I did have 4 cigarettes today before I was able to sleep. Not before I went, but still. That's how it is with addictions and all. Since then, I've had a total of 6 cigarettes and 2 blunts because my hemp did arrive. I've driven approximately 150k since I left the house. Driven to Poland. I did only get 1 carton of cigarettes. So I was worried about perhaps getting more, or concerned, because at the end of the day, it's worth having just 1 on reserve. But then again, it's gonna get me to smoke more, so I'd rather not. There's always only about 50k from my front door, so I can always go and get more. Plus, odds are I'll need diesel again in future because that is a consumable. I did try and go to the restaurant I regularly go to at that place I crossed the border. They were shut today for some odd reason. So I went to a cafe I've been to before with both friends and family. Got myself a waffle and a coffee for £6.50. Felt really adult, but it's not especially economically responsible of me. Then again, £6.50 ain't too bad considering people pay a tenner for some Starbucks stuff. That also relativises €1 for this, a tenner for Starbucks stuff. Then again, one don't have got to use that as a benchmark for pricing. I wasn't concerned for the polish plod with hemp because I did have 1 hemp blunt in the car across the border. I wasn't concerned with them though because they tend to not check that border. The only ones that do is the Germans. I guess that's just the dynamic of that border. And I was slightly concerned for them just because, come on, I'm not looking for a hard time. I can explain to you only hemp. I can show you proof of purchase, but in the end, they do we really have to. And luckily, I was not pulled over for a change, even though they were at the border. It was the feds at the border, so not customs, not the regular plod. And oddly enough, they were looking out across the river Oder, which is the border up here between Poland and Germany. That is where all German roads lead. They were looking with binoculars into the river, so I don't know what they were looking for because at the end of the day, there is enough reasonable border crossings, even though it is a river, there is enough bridges, that trying to smuggle something across the river would be kind of unnecessary. Unless it's something too big to go across a bridge, in which case you're going to have a hard time smuggling it full stop. You know. I did not do that phone call to a dear old friend, formerly a friend of my dad's. Yesterday, our schedules just didn't align. They had a long working day, and I went to bed not late, like 11 p.m. Then again, them being in a different country, they have a different time zone, so I'm an hour ahead of them, which will make it a bit of a challenge. This lorry just driving down here is definitely speeding. Oh no. That's a bit dodgy. Particularly considering it probably weigh hell stuff, you know. It weigh hell. I've actually been thinking about how I'm going to handle it with the hemp. Because at the end of the day, the moment I do not have hemp blunts, I start smoking tobacco. And when it's not socially adequate to be smoking hemp blunts. But the second I cannot prevent, because I cannot change social norms of what is socially adequate and not. But the first I can change by pre-rolling hemp blunts, and I figured I might as well take some empty cigarette packets, nothing in them, and just roll this full of hemp blunts tonight. It's going to be a good pastime while consuming video, I guess, most likely. But, you know, it's not like you can buy hemp cigarettes in this country. I mean, you can buy the pre-rolled cones, but they aren't worth the extra money, in my opinion. I mean, the hemp for one hemp blunt is about €1. Together with the paper and the filter, it's pretty much exactly €1. So I don't want to be spending half of what I spend on the hemp on just a cone, considering a filter costs less than an eighth, and a paper costs less than an eighth. So I'm likely going to be spending time just roll my own blunts and preparing. And I can always roll a couple a day, no probs. As I previously stated, I'd be lying if I said it don't affect me, but I believe it affects me to the positive, to the point where today I did not go above any speed limits, and I was having a fun time doing it. At some point in times, I did have some crazy drivers behind me who were looking to overtake but didn't indicate so, and then all of a sudden they were basically in my boot. I'd driven as far right as I could, and I tried to slow down to let them pass, but once someone is that close, you can't slow down without risking them running into you, which means not like I braked, you know. Plus, the spots they were doing that in, you can overtake, and you are legally allowed to, though you are warned that frequently overtaking accidents do happen, which in my book says don't overtake unless you have to. Come on. And I was doing the speed limit. I was going 100 kph. You don't got to go 150 where you're only allowed to do 100. I mean, come on. Then again, I believe that's just me smoking the CBD that do help with my mindset. I'm not in half a hurry. I'm happy to let people pass. That's actually something I'm quite happy about. Just more chill. I mean, I've driven chill. I obeyed every speed limit, even speed limits that one can very well argue do not persist as long as they are intended to. Most certainly intended to, because there is a new speed limit sign indicating 50 instead of 30 kph. But that are, strictly speaking, depending on which court you go by, not valid for that long, because there is junctions beforehand from which you can come. That would be County Court of Bonn, I believe is the right translation. Landesgericht Bonn. I'm just going to ignore the Supreme County Court of Hamm, because I don't like their ruling. No, but I mean, Bonn is overall the former capital, and this is now the capital, so, you know. And it makes sense, because how on earth are you going to expect people to come from a side road and know there's a speed limit there? And even if some people do know, how do you expect there to be two different standards for people on the same stretch of road, just based on their knowledge? Then again, being familiar with your surroundings, ortskundig, is something German courts do like for roads, so frequently they tie it to the reg plate, which I find funny, because my reg plate is not from here, and I spend 2/3 of all the Ks I drive in this city, which I guess would mean I'm knowledgeable of most of the roads I drive here. Then again, I frequently drive roads I've never driven before, just because there's so many here, and so many you never have a reason to go down on. So, you know. 7th cigarette of this waking phase, 11th of the day. Admittedly, I did not have any hemp at the time I started the day, so I'm not going to be too fussed about the limit today, and even if it's a soft limit, single digits that is. But I'm confident I'll manage tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. Then again, I am planning on going to my former place of internship tomorrow, to continue do some writing, just because I've got a few distractions there. But there it is socially inappropriate in most spots to be smoking hemp. There is a couple in which no one mind, like out back, and I might just do that, because I really don't want to be smoking as much tobacco. I just want to get away from it, you know. Then again, the way I'm doing it might not be the right way. It might be better to just stop full all of a sudden and do more chewing gum also. I like the ritual of smoking though, which means I don't want to give up smoking as a ritual. I just want to give up on tobacco. Because smoking does kill after all. I mean, I'm not at the point where I'm doing exercise or so because I care for my body enough yet. I do not have the energy to. Realistically, once one have one's life sorted out, have an income and so on, that should be one of the next priorities. Who knows if I'll manage or not. At the end of the day, sorry for this cut, I lost my train of thought because I got some messages, so I forgot to put this on Do Not Disturb. In the end of the day, I'm pretty well set up for being able to pay my own rent come Q4 of this year. Well, 1 month in Q4 of this year, but still. I'm in about as solid a position one can be without already being self-employed, which I do not aspire to be, to pay my own rent. I mean, I as close to, I believe, got a job lined up as possible. Then again, I shouldn't be comfortable because of that. Don't want to sell my time below market value, which means I'll still have to be after it and get offers from all kinds of places. Even though I would very much so like to work at my former place of internship, to the point where I'd probably give them the opportunity to match any other offers. Just because, you know, I'm trained there, to the point where the chief, my former chief of internship, do inquire about things every now and then. That's pretty nice, you know. Then again, I shouldn't rest all too much on that working out, even though it is fairly probable and high hopes and all, you know. Don't want to fall for the danger of thinking I got a job. I ain't got a contract, which means I'll have to worry about it come mid-August, once I'm done with this thesis. Currently my concerns are more with the thesis, to be fair, my bachelor's work, because I am starting to wonder if 40 pages is viable, because realistically, even if I do 10 pages infrastructure, 15 pages content, I'm still 15 pages short. And, well, infrastructure as in content infrastructure, so falsification, clarification of terms, introduction to the paper, the abstract, etc. I'd still be 15 pages short if I do 10 pages of that and 15 pages of actual looking at things, you know. I think I'll manage, but considering I have a supervisor one can talk with, and my second examiner is also not going to be too fussed about it, I may ask them in a week or so's time if I got their blessing to do less than 40 pages, assuming it's dense, because I've already found myself writing, even in paper, even on notes, even on paper notes, I found myself writing things out that I should just write out once and abbreviate from there on out. Then again, if you got a page minimum, you can't afford to abbreviate. At least I can't, because I have a hard time meeting minimums for pages. That is because it's not for content. Let me actually look at one of the abbreviations I most certainly should use. Phenomena of applied physics, I should most certainly abbreviate. Digital video files, things like that. I can write it 50, 60 times in 20 pages, and make it 20 pages that way. But no one benefit off it, and the writing quality suffer from it. So, kind of split on that. For now, I'll just assume I have to meet the 40-page minimum. And I'll type up some of yesterday's notes later today. I haven't made any notes today, so that's something. I'll manage though. I'm confident. Just really don't want the stress. But, one have got to do what one have got to do. And that's just the way it is. Funny how that works, really. But, well, that's how it is. Yesterday I went very productive once I got home, as predicted. I did manage to catch up on the dashcam video channels I frequently follow, which is a very cliche thing for me to be doing as a person who likes to drive. I mean, with as much as I drive, I'm close to a professional driver, as long as I'm not one. A professional driver would be driving significantly more, but most other non-professional drivers drive less than I do, so, Then again, I don't know how that is something one should be proud of or not, because it's not great for the environment. I admittedly have the excuse, well, it's a reason, it's not really an excuse, of not doing public transport, and I drive a lot of things for other people. Well, a lot, at least once a week I drive something for someone else, just as favours, because I like driving. Funny how that works. But I just drive because I like to drive, to be honest. I don't even mind town traffic all that much. The only thing I mind is stop and go traffic, which I'll circumvent, do a bit of extra distance, a bit of extra time to not have to stop and go, because stop and goes, time pass slowly. I mean, I'm sure for something like driving exams, for passing your license, that's the best you can have, because it's just the clock ticking and you getting closer to having your license with time in which you can make little mistakes because you aren't moving much, But beside that, I don't think anyone really likes stop and go traffic. Then again, I am contributing to that problem by using a 5 meter 39.8 car for one person, which is a very inefficient use of space for transport and travel. It goes without saying, I reckon, but still, I did actually play one round of video game yesterday, Counter-Strike. Went surprisingly well. Usually, because I play by myself, people I played with in the past, whom I like playing with, have gotten jobs these days and other hobbies, so fair enough, One have got to go one's life, but because I play by myself, I frequently get 4-man teams that do not talk. And yesterday I played one game, a 40-minute game or so. It was absolutely lovely because no one was queued with anyone else. It was 5 single solo players, and everyone had their mics and used them. That was such a fun experience, Then again, I am the one to remind others, hey, you're playing video games. I think you're doing this to have fun. Which sometimes don't work because people can get rather toxic even though it's a video game, which I don't get, but each to their own. I mean, the moment I start noticing anything like that in me, I just stop playing the game, because, oh well, you get a 30-minute ban. It's not like in that mindset you should be playing the game anymore anyways. The coffee being done. Next drink is a Dr. Pepper, I'm trying the zero sugar just because why not, you know. Smell like Dr. Pepper. And taste like Dr. Pepper. Not economically responsible of me to be doing. Then again, at home I got my Creative Drinks, which is a soft drink in a semi-affordable fashion. And that's something. That's another thing I bought in Poland, is I did buy a 4-pack, not a 6-pack, of cider, just because I used to have cider at home at any point in time, and I just stopped spending the money. But I fancied it, and might as well, you know, once one's home and no longer intends on driving for the day, crack open a cold one. And as I don't drink beer, cider is the next closest alternative. I am really looking forward to having done this thesis. I am looking forward to doing it. I just really ain't looking forward to the mechanical labour of having to type it out. I had considered using things like TTS or OCR, text-to-speech, or optical character recognition, but I highly suspect all of those things. Actually, it's not TTS, it's STT. Sorry, speech to text. Ooh, almost whiffed up there. Important thing is I correct myself too, not just others. But I suspect all of those systems are not ripe enough to the point where one can use them in a production environment. One can use them for the fun of using them, but it's the same as 3D printing was 10 years ago. You can't use it as a tool. It's a bloody hobby that you can occasionally use for being productive. These days 3D printing is fit enough to the point where you can just use it as a tool, but then you've got to spend the money on one, which is why I ain't doing 3D printing, because I ain't got the money, you know. Every now and then there is things I think, this should be 3D printable. For example, the latching mechanism for this bench I'm sitting on, spring latch, just so it click into place. Currently is only held down by gravity. Then again, if someone sit on it, it's still held down by gravity. And I ain't too fussed about it, because the moment someone sit here and the car move, they're buckled in, so they can't go anywhere anyways, which means the bench can't go anywhere. It's just a small thing, and it's a very satisfying click when it do work. I mean, the parts aren't really worth 3D printing, because by the time you get a model, you've spent more time than the $5 it costs to get them 2 new parts. But that's not an urgent spending requirement. It's not a safety issue, so I'm not spending the $5 for now, which feel odd, but it's necessary, you know. That's the thing. Even if I ain't got the money, I'll spend it on safety things. I mean, with the tyres and so on, I waited probably too long, but I'm happy I got the new tyres now. The garage guy even stated, you should have heard how fucked these were. I admittedly did know they were pretty fucked. It's just I couldn't afford new ones for too long. And I have noticed the significant difference in friction of the new tyres versus the old ones. Because with these tyres, I can actually do settlement speed limit in top gear without being too low a rev to be fuel efficient. I can go 50 kph in 5th gear and be sitting at smack dab 1200 rms. Funny how that work. Previously, with the old tyres, I had to do 52 kph, which is not something I'm too comfortable doing all the time. Which I guess means I've gotten at least 4% efficiency, which should theoretically mean with this tank I'll do over $1,000 in distance. Hopefully, if I drive efficiently. But the way I've been driving today, I suspect is maybe not the most fuel efficient, but it's pretty darn close, considering it's chill, no hurries and so on. And drop what I'm playing with. Today I've been messing around, even though this car does most certainly have a synchro. in the gearbox. Synchronization gear, I suspect is what synchro is short for, I'm not 100%. I've been messing around with double clutching, so clutching out of gear, getting out of clutch, putting the clutch back in, putting it back into gear, just for funsies. And oddly enough, even when I do this, I still accelerate quicker than other cars. I don't know if people are just asleep on the wheel or so. Highly suspect some are, and some are just more chill than I'll ever be, because I mean, today I'm as chill as one can be for on the road. I can't imagine being more chill myself, at least. And yet there is other cars that are more peaceful appearing toward the outside world and their acceleration. So I guess the right way of putting it, the kind way of putting it. Funny how that works. Tomorrow is the deadline I'd set myself, and outed toward the supervisor as well, about having the first couple of pages, which means I've really got to type up the shit tonight, just because tomorrow I do want to go by my former place of internship. Then again, even if I go there, help them out for an hour or so, if I then start typing after that, which I don't even got to help them out if I'm there, but I just do because I like it, it's the life and work-life balance, you know. I should manage. I mean, worst case, I'll take the Puta or the iPad and type it up there. The only thing is, if I don't type it at home at this time, I ain't got a nice keyboard. I've been meaning to use my spare on the road. It's fucking humongous to carry around, you know, 100% keyboard, mechanical. And it's only got blue switches, and I'm a bit snobby, and I like the kale orange sherbet ones. It's just a wee bit better, which is what my primary keyboard and numpad use. Primary keyboard's 75% and the numpad's 20%, so I'm missing a few keys. I only got 95% total, but that's good enough for 99% of all use cases. And even if it's not, you can always do alt combos, you know. Manually type out which Unicode character you want, that is. Just now a bicycle sped by way of the speed limit, by the way. That's one thing I think is slightly odd in this country, or perhaps also in others, but I know about this one because it's one I've lived in my life, is even if the plot don't enforce rules, they can all of a sudden decide to enforce rules against everyone, which means they can say, oh, we don't care about the speed limit, and not enforce them for years. And then years later they can say, oh, now we care about it all of a sudden, because whatever, different head of department or so, you know. And then they enforce it. In my opinion, that's rather counterintuitive, because one would think if they don't value it enough at one point in time, they can't all of a sudden value it, because, Then again, in my opinion, the law should not have to be enforced. Or there should be more enforcement that should be unnecessary. At this time, if there was more enforcement, it would not be necessary, and they'd all still be run flat out permanently, assuming they do their job. Then again, in this city, they don't appear to care too much. I mean, parking, speed limits, whatever. I say whatever. Even though I try and obey by the rules, but I know for a fact, if I did not, no one cared. Which is just, why? Why even? I mean, you're devaluing the government's word if you aren't enforcing the rules. That's the point of a government, among others. I mean, the reason you can collect taxes as a government is because people are allowed to do business in your country, and you make sure everything goes by the book. Among other things, admittedly. The among other things part of a statement, something I'll most certainly take into my definition of both phenomena of applied physics and video art for my thesis. Just because with phenomena of applied physics, theoretically one could say, ooh, a camera is a phenomenon of applied physics, but that's too broad for my kind of work, so I will state things like a cameras do not count, blah de blah. It has to be the intent of demonstration of a phenomena of physics or so, which a camera is a tool. Admittedly, some demonstrations are tools, but if it is ever executed with the intent of demonstrating a phenomenon, in my book is close enough to a phenomenon to use as a phenomenon of applied physics. POAP, by the way. Phenomenon of applied physics. I should abbreviate it, but currently I still have a page minimum, which means it is not viable to abbreviate. Which means I might want to set up macros, so I just have to type the first few letters and I'll get the rest of the combination. Then again, theoretically, if they had translated the German affidavit correctly to the English language, I would have to declare such things. Good news, on the other hand, is they did not translate it correctly, even though they are supposedly a professional environment, my uni that is. Instead of generative AI, the phrasing in the affidavit, English version, is generating AI. Good news, I shan't be generating AI. Even if I were to train it, I would not be generating it. I mean, this might be nitpicky of me, but I mean, words matter, man. It's not that hard. I can proofread, I can refer you teachers who can proofread your English corrections. Why not? I mean, your professional environment, first off, you should know English in the first place, assuming more than half your clients are working in English. And considering I'm the last student of my course of studies to be doing it in German, half the time even only, you should really know your English, because you got an international clientele, you know. And again, they want the money for the international clientele without having to learn the language. Which then leads to the point where I could use ChatGPT to write my thesis, and I could in good faith not declare it. And that'd be perfectly above board, though it's not above board for their intent. I've been wondering, and I think the lorry behind me is actually parked on the edge of the pavement, and there's a woodpecker picking for worms in the grass. How lovely. Haven't seen a woodpecker in a long time. I'm really quite looking forward to seeing a friend next week, whom I'll be visiting. I'd originally thought it was this weekend, but they said after this weekend. Only just realised a bit ago that's why there was a cut early in the video. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching, by the way. That their plan is not for the weekend but during the week, which is fine by me, because the only appointment I got this time is 9 AM Monday morning, screening poetry film, which is uploaded on here. Feel free to watch Thomas Dillon Do Not Go Quietly Into That Dark Night. I'm not proud of it. The only reason it's public is because I can. It was minimum viable effort, not counting the time I spent worrying about doing it, but only the time I actually did it. It took less than 2 hours time to make, which is one hell of a film sprint. 1 take audio, 2 takes video, and I used both takes video. So, meh. Then again, is very much so artistic interpretation. And the viewer have to be cooperative, of course. They also have to interpret. That being said, 8th cigarette of this waking period, 12th of the day. Odds are today I'll end up getting to 15 before I'm done. By the time I'm home, I can start smoking hemp again. I only took 2 hemp cigarettes just because hemp blunts, to be fair, because I didn't want to take stuff across the border, and I ended up taking 1 across the border and back again, which shouldn't be legal because it's just hemp. But then again, it smelled and looked like grass. I wouldn't want to have to fuck with the Polish police to try and explain to them it's only hemp. Good news is, I guess, this car does not have Berlin plates, which means they not suspect hemp unless they smell it or saw it, which they'd have to pull me over, which I haven't even seen them at the border thus far. Then again, it's not quite rule conforming. In the reality of rules, not the spirit of rules. In the spirit of rules is perfectly fine. To my understanding, in the spirit of rules, I can take 100 grams of hemp in my hand luggage and go on an international flight. I don't think it's regulated. With the reality of rules, if you've got 100 grams of hemp anywhere, they'll look at you funny. Probably pull you over, have your blood checked, send some to a lab, and probably nick it from you without giving you a receipt. Which is, I guess, odd, because the spirit and reality of rules being the other way around as to usually. Usually the reality of rules is laxer than the spirit of them. I mean, look at roads in this city. Hell, people doing 70 where there's 50, and that on the regular. kph is the unit, so approximately 8 meters per second quicker than they're supposed to be, which is a lot. I mean, 8 meters per second is hella distance per time. Hella speed, to be clear. Usually the spirit of the rule is stricter than the interpretation, but I highly suspect with hemp it's the other way around. Then again, it's just suspicion. It's not based on much, beside the fact that I have been informed upon requests that smoking at a place of work or former place of work or potential future place of work is not socially appropriate, because people might think it's not just hemp. They might think it's marijuana, which, to be fair, people can just ask. I think I've stated this before a few sessions ago, but still. People just ask, man. It's not that hard. You've got a mouth. I mean, we all have to work on some assumptions. For example, a common language. If you come across someone in this country, you expect them to speak this country's language. Admittedly, in this city, it might just be English, but in this city, you expect people to speak English. That is the general assumption people are okay with having going into conversations in this country, city, wherever. There is assumptions which are fair to have. Like, if you are somewhere and you have a job in that country, you can communicate with potential customers of that country, which means you are capable of the country's common language, or in the case of this city, at least an international common language, being English. Then again, there is assumptions which I in my book not find to have, such as they're smoking something that looks and smells like it could be marijuana. They're smoking marijuana, when in reality, all one is smoking is hemp. CBD. Up to 7% of CBD with less than 0.2% of THC. Then again, common assumptions is something I've never understood. Because when I try and communicate things, I either talk down to people, or I assume they're on too high a level and completely pass over their head. It's not because I try to do it, it's just because I don't know what the state of knowledge of other people have is. And it's kind of a difficult thing, because if you ask people questions and they don't answer them, how are you supposed to know? Oh, do you know about this? Huh? Yeah, I know about all this. And then you end up finding out they don't. They just didn't want to admit it. I mean, come on. It's cooperative communication, for fuck's sake. I believe it's James Grime. Then again, cooperative is open for interpretation. I have come across people saying, "Oh, I'm busy right now," and then they proceed to text on their phone. Whereas they have responsibility toward other parties that are not on their phone, particularly their private one. Shared assumptions can be fine, but they don't gotta. And a lot of time, shared assumptions are based on a common neurological structure, which I do not have, being autistic. Hell, you might not have, having ADHD, being autistic, whatever else you have. Even if it's trisomy 21, formerly known as Down. That lorry is speeding hella fast again. This time it's not got a trailer. It's still got the same car on the back of the lorry though. And the woodpecker was just at a tree about to peck, and then the lorry came and chased it off. Oh no. I was actually thinking of taking a picture of that for the thumbnail, but I guess it's not happening. There we go, that's a thumbnail. Now we have a thumbnail. I had considered putting 100 grams of hemp in the thumbnail, but I didn't want to do the post-production of adding a separate picture over top, and I didn't want to carry 100 grams of hemp across international borders. For obvious reasons, and that being looks and smells. I do sometimes assume things of other people as a premised assumption, going into conversation that does not turn out to be right. But I'm up for changing that, and I think everyone should be. Then again, this is me projecting my worldview onto the rest of the world. For 80%, the general assumptions may be the same. It's just I'm not part of those, let's say, 80%. Oh yeah, I've been shopping. That's why I'm talking to myself here. Hello there. I did spend $64, I believe it was. Which, considering I got 13 litres of milk and other things, including fancy drinks such as Dr. Pepper, not sponsored or affiliated, hit me up. I'm happy with $65. I mean, that's going to last me best part of a week. I got some bread, some stuff on bread, and a lot of unhealthy snacks, you know. That's solid. It's what? Less than a kebab a day. Which might be caused by the price of kebabs being very inflative in the recent past. Then again, earlier I driven by a kebab place just down the road from the supermarket I frequent, my go-to supermarket, and that kebab place offered like kebabs for $4 a pop, and they had hella queue outside. I mean, it's good for business. You'll reduce your margins, but you'll have way more turnover. So, you know, nah. And once people are familiar with your kebab joint, they might even keep returning once the price go back to the inflated it is. A cyclist going down the road on the wrong side of the road. Imagine. I hope you have to imagine, because you can't see them going down the wrong side of the road. Then again, you never know. I'm hoping to be productive tonight. I hope you two are productive when you would like to be. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching all this, me talking to myself. Stay safe, I'll see you around. Cheerio.